that. It's actually very Liquid-esque. It's actually the way Liquid implemented their counter of G2 very famously when they beat them at Pro League finals. That is how they outfrag G2. They just really push for refrags no matter how many players they threw at them. So that's a really good pickup in terms of skill on defense there.
Yeah, and it's something we've seen from Fnatic, you know, the ability to leverage that team chemistry with strong individual play and working together. But for Aerowolf now, as they attempt a second attack, it'll be obviously a switch up of the bomb site, this time onto Hookah. So there is quite a few differences in how you must apply this. I expect we'll probably see a little bit of the different map control taken for Aerowolf. Looks like starting off with Penthouse potentially. It's nice to kind of get some map control to leverage, potentially even use Habana pellets onto the VIP walls.
战斗数据。还剩60秒。你好。为了你的安全，请移动到屏障后方。感受疗愈节奏。发现所有人集合。敌方炮塔还剩20秒。别想逃。尽快移动至屏障后方。还剩10秒。
我が敵を食らう。
重新启动延长赛，前方有炮攻啊！目标已被敌人入住，防守据点已占有目标。你最好移动到我的屏障后方。
小心那个炮塔！
重新启动系统。为了你的安全，请移动到屏障后方。
and gain some more angles into the bomb site. But, you know, with the fluid way, as you mentioned, that Fnatic are playing these defenses, it can be very difficult to contain.
Yeah, and at that, we were talking about classic Lusty on the mirror last round. I think it's really developing into classic aces on the Maestro here with that older. I think even if they get man advantage and aces is on bomb side, Era can't feel comfortable. He's had some insane clutches with that older, and yeah, he's a scary man to face.
And I think that's something particularly with this bomb site. You have multiple roamers typically, but you always need to prevent the attackers from just rushing into the bomb site and taking that control, because it can be very difficult to retake. So Fnatic can trust in aces, and I believe, who is it, Rizraz or someone on site, to just, you know, keep that pressure on to prevent Airwolf from going for that early aggression. And I think, you know, aces, you can always trust them with that older to make that happen.
前往巴黎，做好攻袭准备，选择英雄。
尽情焊死，成就你的想象力。
我会顾好你们的背后，让大家平平安安回家。距离进攻还有30秒。毁灭的力量。
看看谁躲在后面。
择英雄。
我的职责就是保护你们的安全。
攻击方将于30秒后开始行动。
空无地域并肩作战。
谢谢你。4、3、
要想新方法。
还剩60秒。
看这定位，让我来帮你治疗。交给我，这个会治疗你。
还剩30秒。
臣服于我的意志，在我面前屈服吧。我厉害，我依然是这种空气。这个方法
还剩10秒。精彩重播。双杀，三杀。
For sure, and Aero taking a bit of a slower, steadier push at the moment. They're taking from the penthouse side across the map. The bomb site is hookah, and so they're just going to try and clear these roamers out, figure out exactly where they are, and try to cut their rotates. Fnatic are, again, playing together beautifully down here in the lobby. Magnet does get tagged through that hatch, but he does have players with him to help refrag if possible. There is a cutoff there in office, so Fnatic are a little trapped at the moment. It's interesting how Aero is surrounding them here. They're really emphasizing that they want to clear this roam. Aces and Lusty have both been tagged very low on site, so these roamers stuck in a precarious position, and now their anchors are low on HP. This is a strong position for Aero here with just a minute to go.
First frag is taken down onto a roamer. In fact, two of the players trying to roam clear are taken down. Fnatic's triple threat on this roam doing so much work, and once again it's just Mentalist in a 1 versus 5. Of course, he doesn't have much to work with, a little bit of utility, but he's being pressured from every single angle. Fnatic have the eye onto where Mentalist is pushing, and now it'll be up to him to clutch a 1 versus 5 scenario. 40 seconds, so plenty of time to play with, but really nothing else. And Lusty will clean that up. Fnatic feeling very comfortable.
Yeah, and not only that, they were in a pretty tricky situation. As we said, their anchors had been taken low, and they were kind of stuck with their roam in terms of like they were surrounded, but Fnatic just played really comfortably with those peaks out of that. They refragged each other really well. In fact, it wasn't even a refrag because they didn't lose anybody, but they re-peaked together, and it's like in sequential order, and that's really great teamwork.
Looks like Aerowolf will be taking a timeout this early on, so just 2 rounds down and already having a chance to talk to their coach, who is in fact actually their team manager. So really, this is just an opportunity. As you can see, the players who are really doing most of the talking here is Ysera in the middle, and I expect Lunametal just to his right will also be doing the most of the talking now. I think that's something we can really talk about for Airwolf. They don't have a coach. Lunametal has repeatedly said that that's what they think the team needs, and he thinks he's the right man for the job, but he hasn't found someone to fill his role on the team. So these guys.
正在前往釜山。
准备战斗，
选择英雄。
本我不屈于
准
行，
备上场喽！
愿你平安。
你好啊！
我血无。
4、3、2、1，第一回合战役目标。加油啊！
器上场喽！
你好啊，伙计。
和山皆是真理。第3回合，标。
你好啊，伙计。
实现我的理想，正在重建你的细胞。敌人在攻击我。
现在可占领目标。
感受毁灭的力量。
你好啊，伙计。
在我面前屈服吧！我状况正好，别来求我！我的意志化为现实。谁来斩断我的细胞？还不行。
好，谢谢。
快就定位。敌人在攻击我，感受毁灭的力量。这可是不好。我来修补你的伤口。
你好啊，伙计。
在我面前屈服吧！我的仆人永不消逝。来自远方的问候。
我需要治疗。
臣服于我的意志，交给我吧。我的仆人来了。我来修复你的伤口。
你好啊，伙计。
正在。正在重建你的细胞，在我面前屈服。
马达报告。
帮我回去，你的力继续转换。所有证据都显示，我手感正好。
guys just...
Though, he will take him out. That is speakeasy on the Jackal. It is a nice early cut there. And Magnet was close by for a refrag, but just couldn't quite get into the position to get a shot off.
It's a good take so far for Airwolf. Obviously, we've seen some potential opportunities where they have stalled out, but you know, catching some of these roamers on rotations, I think that's a great strategy against Fnatic right now. We know how mobile that they're trying to be, but as we mentioned, they've brought a lot of these ACOG operators who are one speed, so they don't have that.
前往地平线月球殖民地，做好攻击准备，选择英雄。
星坠。
That mobility that they would previously, and yet they're still trying to move around on their roam, and Aerowolf able to cut them out much more easily.
Magnet feeling pretty good here. It doesn't look like he's been droned out. I think he's just going to try and hold this angle because I'm believing that he expects he hasn't been found, and he hasn't been found at all. He will take out that Jackal. Really patiently played there by Magnet. I really like that. And we see two defenders now just on bomb site. The roam's starting to dwindle a little bit. Virtue is still playing a slightly aggressive position of VIP, but it looks like Aero might be favoring the luggage side. That's where the Montaigne is pushed with another attacker behind him. Magnet trying to run out on the Zofia, but he is fragged for his attempts, and that's a 4v3 advantage to Aero.
Could just tick the
The
guy.
Montaigne as well, something that we've seen as a staple for Aerowolf and often banned against them.
I don't think I want this artifact.
Be something to help leverage these choke points and gain a little bit
blue or red.
More information for the team, and in this case it's Luna Metal, the captain, and IGL. Pointing out the position of Lusty, but we know how well Luna can also frag on this operator. He'll attempt some hip fires onto Lusty, who's very, very keen to peek this, but a flashbang is very good against him, and Luna Metal will take that as an option to peek and take down the Rook.
That was some really nice teamwork from Aero there just to pinch out that Rook. He was pretty ineffective at the end of the day once they threw the stun grenades out. So with the 4v2 man advantage, you expect to see Aero to secure this plant. Ace is in a very tricky position in this corner. Hysterics will tag out Virtue, so now it is Aces on that Alder all by himself. 4v1 definitely not out of the realm of possibility, but not today. Yasera will finish it off for Aero.
A great round for Aerowolf, and we can see they are back in the game. That tactical timeout certainly helped them regain some composure, and we're finally seeing the Aerowolf that we're more familiar with. Using that Montaigne, leveraging the kinds of playstyles that we know works for them, and also finding some effective counters to the way that Fnatic are playing. And with that mobility again on that early roam, Fnatic just want to keep moving around together. And we saw it the Legion and the Doc early in that round, moving together, getting up these refrags, setting up crossfires, and playing very fluidly, as you mentioned. I think that it's been a good counter from Aero in the way that they were holding these rotations and playing patiently to counter that play style.
Yeah, I really like that they weren't necessarily hard pushing that roam at all. They just took their positions and held the angles. It was a really patient angle from the Jackal in the bar, just waiting for that courtyard rotate. So they got that early pick, which was really great. And then once they had a little bit of control, they just rotated to the push that they wanted to do, which was away from the trap that Fnatic had set up in VIP. So a really excellent read from Aero to decide to push the theater, and they executed it really well. So strong from Aero to come out of that rotate and just break that momentum and take it back into their advantage.
Now moving into the 4th round, they've ditched the Montaigne, so I think this is something positive we're seeing from Airwolf. They know that the Monty is good, but they don't want to fall into a very predictable pattern. Instead, they'll leverage some new utility, bringing once again the Jackal that they had earlier on, but we've seen a switch around of some of these roles. It's now Lunametal playing the Jackal, and we've seen he's comfortable to go for these entry frags, whereas Speakeasy, who we saw, you know, playing the Jackal previously, he's on the Glaz. So Airwolf have a new kind of utility that Fnatic perhaps a bit less expecting.
Yeah, and it's a really interesting pick there out of Speakeasy on that Glaz. It's going to be, I'm curious how they're going to use it. I'd expect to see a server push, I mean a supply push, because you can't really get nice long angles with Glaz pushing the other side. Yeah, we see some pretty aggressive drones here already on bomb site though, one on the bomb, so they might push straight into that Sunrise. It could be a relatively quick push. They're setting up some claymores here for these runouts. They are heavy on the ruin side. And they're just going to have to try and take it a little bit easier, not go too quick. I don't think they want to play into Fnatic's ability to handle chaos. And Arrows want to be cautious if they're going to try and do something quick.
I think one of the key things for Fnatic on this one will be how they can deal with it. If it does come down to it, you know, these smoke grenades, because we do have four of them from Airwolf, and the ability to look through them as well with the Glaz will help out astronomically. And, you know, those Evil Eyes could assist, but I don't think we've seen a ton from them. That's map control.
That's
in fact,
really
bomb site control
push
from Lunametal. The captain, IGL, and entry fragger for Airwolf finds 2 early peaks, and Fnatic perhaps a little bit in disarray as they don't have all of their mirror windows set up to retake Blue Bar, and the push from Airwolf coming from multiple angles. It's a good repeat though from Lusty, but not good enough as Lunametal takes him down, but Fnatic fight back and take down Luna. The map, player advantage only just in favor of Airwolf, but no longer. 2 versus 2. We still have so much time, but Airwolf are being picked apart. They had an advantage, but now it's a 1 versus 1. Aces with the older, we've said it before, he's amazing in clutch situations, and all up to just Speakeasy, the newest player on the team, who has ammunition. No one does. What weapon are we gonna use here? Speakeasy surely can't win this!
With the Bailiff.
With the Bailiff, nothing left in the altar. How does that happen?
Oh, that was unreal what happened there. Unfortunate for Arrow, Luna made such a great play to push into that blue bar. He got a 3k all by himself in that blue bar, but I think they're waiting for Diffuser. It looked like Mentalist was still by himself out in ruins, so it delayed them, and Fnatic were able to capitalize that. Coming down to that 1v1 with Aces, you know you got to back Aces in that situation. He's so comfortable in those positions, and while that duel was pretty interesting and eventuated with the Bailiff kill, really well played again from Fnatic just to hold out. We're going to see Aero here bringing their standard lineup. They are 6 picking off that Hibana to Montaigne. Again, Hibana not particularly useful on coastline, not too many walls that you usually need to open. You can get some line of sights, but generally it's not required.
Yeah, I find it really interesting to see, you know, Lunametal, he makes a very good entry. He's exceptional entry fragger, good game sense, good IGL call, and then he switches onto the Montaigne. And I think it really comes down to Airwolf are changing their playstyle, the way they're thinking about some of their playstyle between these rounds, and Lunametal in particular having to flex constantly. Surely it becomes quite demanding. If you're the captain, you're the IGL, and you're also, you know, flexing really drastically on your operators and roles, that surely has a big impact on how well you can actually manage each of those games and each of those plays that you're trying to make.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of pressure, and it's very exhausting. So when you come to these marathon kind of series and these marathon kind of tournaments, it can be really draining. So we're going to have to see a lot of Aero step up. We did see Mentalist step up really well yesterday. He played such a great game on Villa. So if he can get into the game here, that will really help ease some pressure and really help Aero get back into it.
This defense now of Hookah, we can see a lot of parallels between this Hookah defense and that Bars defense, especially with this mirror window downstairs. Fnatic really well set up, and I do really like their strategies that they are employing. They just look like such a comfortable team right now. You know, they have their strategies, they've done their practice, and their individual players are feeling confident, and they just look so well set up. And that said, you know, at the end of the day, the pressure is on for Fnatic. They know that their sister team, Norengo, is already qualified for Milan, and Norengo and Fnatic always expect that they'll be the 2 going to those events. And Airwolf don't expect anything out of this, I think. You know, they didn't expect to beat Cloud9, and yet they did, and now they're coming up to Fnatic. You know, the pressure is on for Fnatic, almost nothing on for Airwolf. How will this affect how these teams perform?
Well, I mean, Fnatic have always been historically really great with staying confident. They're quite a confident team in general. They carry themselves really well with their confidence, and I think, yeah, like you said, with Norengo already qualifying, that gives Fnatic even more motivation just to push hard and fight hard and get this win. Aero, little expectations, I think that works in their favor. And again, Coastline is actually a defender-started map, so the fact that they're down 1-3, it's not too critical at this moment. If Aero can actually equalize a 3-3 for the first half, that's a pretty strong performance actually for an attack. So Aero just need to get the next 2 rounds, and it's definitely still a very strong winnable position for them.
Yeah, I mean, this is still a pretty good position. That said, you know, Coastline can sometimes be attack favored. You'd think they'd get a couple more rounds on this attack, but the way that Fnatic play is just like so typical Fnatic, you know, this very fluid defense, this very roam heavy, very G2-esque style of play, and I think that, you know, playing to their strengths, they will of course be more successful on their defense.
Yeah, we just see Looney here pushing quite aggressively into bomb site with the Montaigne, getting a lot of intel for his team. He's very surrounded though, and there's players below, so if he's not careful, he can get fragged out or even see forward from below. We see his teammates trying to get some intel, trying to figure out how they can get this execute off. Fnatic in some very strong positions, really surrounding the bomb site, making it hard for Aero to push in. And at this stage, 45 seconds to go, we haven't really seen any engagements. There's just a little bit of HP taken off Luna. No, not even any HP taken off Luna. So it's no engagements at all, and almost 30 seconds to go. We're going to have to see an execute happening, and Virtue will get the opening frag. 30 seconds to go, 4v5 for Fnatic. Magnet is taken low, but not quite out of the game at this stage. He's just going to try to stay passive near that Vase position. Now Montaigne is pushing up and calling out Lusty's position at that drinks bar. We are just seeing a really late execute coming out of Aero here, so this is going to get very chaotic very quick in a second, Dev.
Oh, there you go, a great bait from Luna Metal. And Mentalist finds 2 opening frags onto the Fnatic players. 3 frags for Mental, but he's taken down. Virtue stepping up as needed. It's a 2K pushing onto the bomb site. He's refragged. Just Rizraz who finds that C4 kill, but the plant is down. It'll have to be a retake, and Ysera
nice
closes out the round. Aerowolf get one step closer to ending this half with an advantage.
A really great execute there from Aero, and we're talking at the start of that round about other players stepping up for Aero. I mentioned Mentalist had a great game yesterday, and look at that, he opened that with a 3K at the start of that execute. Really, really well played by Aero. It was very chaotic, and Virtue almost brought it back for Fnatic. That C4 coming just a tad late as the plant managed to get down, and oh, really intense finish to that round. Well played by Aero, and even well played by Fnatic. A really close round, and that'll be 3-2 now. So as I was saying, if Aero can get this to 3-3, that's a really big win for an attack phase on Coastline. It's really more favored to defenses. You normally see like a 4-2 advantage going into the end of the first half. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
I think a lot of the time it comes down to the operator bans, but you know, with these, I think I agree with you. You know, the defense should be feeling pretty comfortable. The loss of the Valk, I think, often would trouble me, I think, on Coastline. I think there's a lot of really good opportunities to use Valkyrie and Echo on Coastline, but I don't think Fnatic have struggled at all for information. We've seen the Maestro devices being incredibly useful in leveraging the the mirrors as well. You know, they always have information, and their roamers are gaining information as well, and I think that the combination of all of that means that Fnatic aren't having such an issue with that Valk ban that Aero did against them.
Yeah, and you'd think that Valk ban would affect the roamers the most. Often Valk is the most critical intel operator for on the roam, but we saw earlier on really strong roaming frags from Fnatic, so they're definitely getting the information they need, whether that's through sound cues or whether it's through other uses of utilities such as Evil Eyes or bulletproof cameras. But yeah, the Valkyrie ban hasn't seemed to have affected Fnatic at the moment. They're going to be looking to close this out on a 4-2, so they only have to worry about 3 rounds on attack. Aero really, really want to get this 3-3 so they can equalize the half. We see Fnatic setting up pretty similarly to we saw last time. Ace is on that Maestro again. He's going to play a really nice position on that shield behind the hookah bar. And looks like Fnatic, again, yeah, setting up very similarly to last time. And hopefully Aero can push a little bit quicker so they won't have to see such a chaotic execute towards the end.
Yeah, with this hold from Fnatic though, really relying on that hookah control to prevent that push from inside of the aquarium. You know, with those mirror windows facing that direction and facing onto hookah as well, the thing that I worry about is, you know, when you play a mirror, yes, it's a very powerful piece of utility, but if the enemy does actually bring the utility or just goes and puts themselves into the position to counter those mirror windows, you're really going to struggle, and I think that's exactly what Aerowolf are doing. Playing below, they will have an opportunity to open the floor and take out these mirror windows, which will worry me for Fnatic, I think.
Yeah, and Aero are just taking their time. As you said, they have to worry about the angles they're pushing with those mirrors, and they really don't want to lose anybody early. What was really strong is the fact that they had the 5v5 when they went for the chaotic execute. If you already have a man disadvantage at that stage, then it can be a real big disadvantage. So Aero just want to make sure that at least if they get into an engagement, they can just secure that opening pick. Virtue has been tagged on these cool vibe stairs, but he's just going to play that really passive. He's going to play the prone angle, trying to get a sneaky pick into the VIP. He is trying to out throw that mute jammer, not really helping him to be concealed there. Hysterics is aware, and he's just going to pop back on another drone and blue bar. And try to keep an eye out on those holes above so he's not tagged low by somebody unsuspectingly. Again, Aero playing a very cautious game. They're starting to approach that aquarium side. Speakeasy is in the luggage room, and he is droning forward, but no teammates with him, so they're not really ready for anything at this stage. A minute to go though, so this is going to start favoring Fnatic, because that chaos can not necessarily always go in the favor of attackers. Some would say, especially with a smoke up, that couldn't really be a bad position for attackers. So Aero are going to have to start thinking about making some kind of move.
We do hear some Hibana pellets rattling on out. Of course, as it does come down to those final moments, we'll see Lunametal's Ying be more and more powerful. We're likely to see a final push in. And last time Aerowolf attacked this bomb site, they did have a really strong push from multiple directions. No Monty this time, but that Ying could suffice as a replacement. Just 30 seconds left, and Fnatic throwing out their utilities to delay this push. They have very good positions, but Aerowolf may well counter that with their utilities, such as these Candelas, pushing Fnatic further down the stairs. Diffuser in hands of Aerowolf. They're trying to plant this, but I'm not sure if they can make it work for them. This push from the aquarium side into pool has struggled a little bit, and a good frag and C4 from Aces does the work. Fnatic in the numbers advantage, but Lusty, what are you doing? It's a team kill, but he does deny the plans, and that's enough for Fnatic to win the round.
Really great defense there from Fnatic. They just played a really nice, patient, intel-based game. They waited for Aero to make their move, and they just shut them down really, really strong there. There was the team kill with the C4, but he also did get a enemy frag at the same time, so it was nullified, and yeah, Fnatic just closed that out. It was a really great performance from them.
Moving into this next round, though, does make me a little bit, worried for Aerowolf. It's not a great position to be in moving into the second half, but no, I've seen worse before. 4-2 towards Fnatic's side. Aerowolf need to regain some composure.
Yeah, they do. They just need to make sure that they are aware that defense favors them, and Fnatic will be happy with a 4-2 advantage, and I would say that's what I would have expected from a defense, especially someone as strong as Fnatic for the first half. So Aero just need to fight the mental game here. They need to stay confident. They need to understand that they can play really strong defenses as well, and they played super strong defenses on Villa yesterday. So they just need to stay with it, and they've gone for Kitchen here for their first bomb site, which I really like. Speakeasy will play a Vigil, so would expect to see quite an aggressive roam potentially out of Aero, trying to time delay as well as get some early picks onto Fnatic. Nothing particularly special here coming out of Fnatic, though. They do have a Twitch pick, which is quite interesting. Perhaps they're expecting a mirror. Other than that, business as usual. Lusty on the Jackal for those smokes, and Hag on a pretty iconic buck as well.
It is a bit odd to me, I think.
阿努比斯神庙5、4、3、2、1，攻击方出动了，防守目标 A。
坚持你的信念，不要放弃。别以为这样就能解决我。
雄站起来！正义从天而降。科学会揭示真理。
没有人能逃出我的生命。
我的意志，我正在修复伤口。我来修复你的伤口。感受毁灭的力量，我来协助你。开设定位。战斗还没结束。实现我的意志。我会重建你的细胞。我可能需要想个新方法。这个会治疗你。我正在修复伤口。这是我的意志。这会让你舒服，在我面前屈服吧。帮你回复一下。看来你需要点协助。会重建你的细胞。各位英雄，站起来！战斗还没我要夺走你的力量。正义从天而降，放下武器。我改变想法了。这一份治疗。这会让我舒服。在我面前屈服吧！帮你回复一下。我会治疗你。
还剩60秒。
修复伤口。战斗还没摧毁了你的伤口。这会让你舒服一点。我去了。他们快没事。帮你修复一下。我得谢谢。武器。精彩重播。前往艾希瓦德。做好防御准备，选择英雄。
有建设，才有破坏。谢了。我是。你好啊。我上去。
敌方将于30秒后开始行动。
如果有状况，
全力运作。
释放耐力强化。
瘫痪系统。
敵を食らう。 秀了！力量达到极限。
我力量不会的。
我が敵を食らう。
目标已被敌人制服，阻止目标前进。
别让我失望哦！
我的绝招准备就绪。了解，绝招快好了。我的绝招准备就绪。
给他们一个痛快！办法，就给自己动手。 人人都是斗士。
治疗你。
起来！
重播。释放耐力强化，没人拦得住我的意志。正义从天而降。
Bringing that twitch instead of, you know, an IQ we've seen a lot of from Rizraz recently. Maybe, as you said, expecting the mirror, but I would much more typically see Aerowolf bringing a lineup such as this one, you know, a little bit of aggression. They do like to bring these operators that aren't mirror, you know, something a little bit less conventional. In this case, the Doc and the Vigil together, obviously great fraggers, still a lot of ability to roam, and perhaps in lieu of that, we'll see Aerowolf have a very similar defense to what we've seen from Fnatic.
Yeah, it looks like Fnatic are going to favour pushing from this west side here. They're going to try to start taking into that Sunrise bar. Magnet is by himself up on this aquarium balcony. He's going to start trying to get top floor control as well, because they will want to put some vertical pressure with that buck onto the defenders on site so they can clear them out and potentially get some picks as those defenders try to move around into comfortable positions. Rizraz aggressively on the Cool Vibe stairs. He will succeed in getting the frag. Agumon taking him low, but not much at all. And that is the Vigil out early, so now that is not something they need to worry about moving forward here. Luna has got himself into the courtyard nice and early. If Fnatic aren't aware of his position, then he could punish them quite late. Ysera is playing the penthouse, so if Fnatic do want to take top floor control, they will have to worry about the roamers flanking them as well, Dev.
Yeah, no, I do expect Fnatic trying to take that top floor control because of, you know, the buck, but there's no nomads, so they won't be able to just forgive and forget all of the roam play flanking up those stairs, as you mentioned. I think Fnatic feeling pretty good at the moment. You know, they've taken some good ground. They have that opening pick, but moving forward into this next step, starting to take the rest of the ground that they require and then opening up onto the bomb side, I think that's going to be much more challenging for them, the way that Aerowolf are currently roaming.
Yeah, and Aero really stacking this lobby here. It looks like they might want to try and make an aggressive play on the Virtue, but he has a really strong angle, and he's also
it's a bait
on the drone. Yeah, it's an excellent bait, actually. Virtue potentially might try to take a aggressive frag. He is pushing up, but they're not looking at it. He almost gets those shots off, but not quite. He's going to try and re-pick this, but the other players aren't trying to have any of it. Luna is trying to push up towards this door, but will he engage with Virtue? He's holding a really tight angle here, and this is a really patient game. We do see Ysera push up and frag Magnet out as Magnet attempts to come and help Virtue. Virtue will get the frag onto Luna, and Lusty frags onto Mentalist. There's a 2v4 advantage to Fnatic now. Aero very tagged up. Ysera with a nice shotgun there. Hysterix is fragged out by Rizraz now, though. Ysera very low health, a 1v3, and the plant is going down. 40 seconds to go.
That's a soft wall, though, and Ysera, if he had the information, could deny the plant, but in fact, no information from Aerowolf, and now it's a real desperate attempt in a 1 versus 3 retake. Fnatic look like they have this one in the bag, and as you were saying before, that it's a defensive favored map and Aerowolf should be not too worried about this. Fnatic take the first round on their attack. Aerowolf had the choice of 4 bomb sites and none of them would work for them. Rizraz closing out the round. Both Rizraz and Virtue, good picks and good openings. And really? That's dirty.
That's a nice angle and just absolute abuse of perspectives there. Really well played by Rizraz and some insane confidence from Fnatic with their fragging. We saw that early with Rizraz taking that aggressive push on a cool vibe, getting that early pick. I think that was really critical to the success of Fnatic's attack there, and it really led the confidence because Virtue also backed himself in that security room to take those frags, and that worked out really well for them. So I really like that from Fnatic.
It's a really good read from Fnatic right now into the Aerowolf playstyle, and that's what I think we've seen a lot of this weekend. It comes down to, you know, how it's not specifically reading a strategy, it's reading the playstyle that the enemy have been using, and Norengo did it excellently against Xavier, and Xavier did it very poorly against Norengo. Now we're seeing Fnatic do exactly what they need to do to contain any of this roam play from Aerowolf. It can be a bit back and forth, but Fnatic, with their focus onto the bomb site at the same time as sending individuals dedicated to occupying multiple Aerowolf players, I think Fnatic are just very strong on this defense, sorry, on this attack. And now Aerowolf picking the same defense, so Fnatic are going to be very happy to just, you know, do the same thing again, make any changes that they feel necessary.
Yeah, we do see some changes in operators from Aero there. I'm quite surprised to see them take the same bomb site because, as we were mentioning before, Coastline has all 4 viable bomb sites. So if you don't feel comfortable on one, you can switch to another, and it's not like they lost that round closely. I think that was relatively convincing for Fnatic. They definitely controlled that last round very much so. So Aero deciding to go back here, they must have a good plan up their sleeve with this Elo especially.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a bit worried for Aerowolf at the moment. It looks like a fairly disjointed setup, and on the flip side, Fnatic, you know, the way that they're striding towards the building, I don't know, there's just an air of confidence with Fnatic that I can't quite put my finger on, but they really do feel like, you know, they're in their element right now, and you know, these operators that they're bringing to the table, even if they don't have directly effective utility to countering, you know, major things such as, you know, mirror windows and such, which we're not seeing present, you know, Rizraz doing exactly what he needs to with that Twitch, just allowing himself to drone a little bit further than he might otherwise, taking out the mute jammers.
I think Fnatic, something that's we're not really touching on too much, is they seem to have a really strong drone game here. Their drone economy and prep phase is really good, and they're starting to get their drones in really strong, powerful positions. And I think that's what's really enabling their confidence. They're getting really good intel early on what Aero is doing, and they're able to just come for this side. You know what? They're going to try and do this. We're going to push and cut that off, or we're going to push and get these frags. And I think, yeah, it's all enabled by their droning.
Not a lot of time gone now in the round, just a third, and you know, Fnatic, slow and steady, wins the race at the moment. Oh, that's a close angle, and Asterix slowly peeking. You did see the little hat of the Twitch player, but it wasn't enough, and Rizraz, an excellent play to take that down. Just a lot of patience from Fnatic. I'm really impressed by everything we've seen from them so far. Every time Aerowolf decide that they're going to make a play, Fnatic are prepared and they're ready for it. Mentalist, though, starting to do some good work onto the bomb site, but it's a great entry for Fnatic. There is a bit of a reply from Aerowolf, but there are numbers disadvantage now. Fnatic do, however, have Rizraz on the floor, and there's a good peek from Speakeasy. Fnatic on the back foot, just Virtue left, and he's taken down. Aerowolf are aware of it, and they finish off the round. They're back in the game.
欢迎来到里雅尔托，做好攻击准备，选择英雄。
我的场子只能由我做主。
朋友，大家干嘛站着不动啊？荣耀在等着我们呢！
距离进攻还有30秒。
别胡思乱想，专心在眼前的事物。
屏障立场启动。
我很火的。
双眼，
你得把所有
鲍勃，快上啊！炸弹来了！发生了点小意外。
帮你恢复。
我不会让你死的。炸弹来了！
你好啊。
所有
鲍勃，快上啊！
扫荡完毕，正在护送我。我的双眼，
狙击手，快突击！
搞什么？赶快让目标动起来！
今天适合搞破坏。
继续战斗吧！
引力弹用于
英雄永不消逝。
火力全开！
皮肉伤杀不死我的。
英雄永不消逝。
力量涌现。
你会没事的。 欢迎来到绿洲城。准备战斗，选择英雄。
我是破坏大
你现在
魔
落得这副下场，真遗憾。
你没资格批评我。
厉害！
5、4、3、2、1，第一回合占领目标。
小心那
正义必将伸张。和我会合，
看看谁
躲到我后面。
完成康复，暂时了。轻而易举。
尽情探索，成就你的想象力。抱歉，插个队。
完成康复，暂时了。
我又来了。
科学会揭示真理。 屈服吧！
为现实。臣服于我的意志。在我面前屈服吧！战斗还没结束，我们前开！
给他们一个痛快！
胜利。比数1-1。
任务开始后就别打混了。
实现我的意志。科学的进步总是伴随牺牲。感受毁灭的力量。快就定位。在我面前屈服吧！挫折正好能证明假设是否正确。我来修复你的伤口。
完全是。
流星降临。
给他们一个痛快！
彩重播。双杀。
to 5.